Crypto crackheads and cryptillions. Today is Tuesday, April 27th, and you're about to get Timified. This is my Bitcoin exclusive video, should last under 10 minutes. New viewers, my channel does a couple things that most crypto channels don't do. So if you're new to crypto and you're looking to make money in crypto, which is probably why you're here anyway, right? So if you're a combination of those two things, you have found the right channel, because my strategy essentially addresses the two most common difficulties new investors in crypto make. First, you don't know when to enter your trade. I know you've watched YouTubers, you bought that coin and you're down 30% that same week or the next week, right? So I address the idea of how to enter trade safely. Second, I know that you probably are scared to sell. Maybe you haven't sold at all. You're buying and praying. Hopefully your coins go up 100x, right? So I address the idea that you need to always be selling portions, 20 bag, essentially 20 bags. Look at the description section and my library video on that. So I teach you how to be a profit pimp. And those are the two things that we do, because those are the two most common mistakes that I know you're making. And if that sounds good to you, you end up subscribing to my channel. I need you to leave me a comment. Let me know whether you want to be a cryptillion or a crypto crackhead. They are gender neutral. They can be gender fluid depending on the day as well. So if that sounds good to you, let me know and we're ready to go. So Bitcoin only video. Here we go. I have 20 baby chicks over there too. Hopefully my noise gate's getting them, but they're kind of loud because I just gave them food. So anyway, and they're establishing their pecking order, it looks like. Anyway, so over the weekend, I made videos. I let you know, especially, at the end of the week, I was saying, hey, Bitcoin does not like to close many weeks, if, one, most, sometimes two, under this weekly 10, right? So I very heavily anticipated that this week would easily close over 50K. I said that very specifically. However, within that, there could be a lot of price action, and I said I'm really not making much of a prediction, because you could have $10,000, or $5,000 each way for a $10,000 up and down candle. So it wasn't really much of a prediction, but I had the hypothesis, or the very strong guess, that Bitcoin would not just close below that, but also it very likely wants to close above its 10. And I said, I think I have three most probable situations laid out. I think it might want to come down first, then close either above 50K or fly past the 10, close strong above the 10. I thought that was the most likely. And my second and third most likely, I believe, involved that not happening. Perhaps either riding this line or going up just without going down and closing above this weekly 10. So I think it's the third of the three most probable that is playing out. And so what are the consequences of that? Now we have to readjust. What are our top three? What should we be looking out for? Not just this week, but I would say the next 2 to 3 weeks. And I think that a lot of people, this is where crypto is going to get tricky. And I strongly anticipate most traders are going to play this wrong. Okay. Because I think the most probable situation is something that they're not expecting. I think we're going to inch past and make another high, then come back down and test the 21. That's exactly what I think is the most probable. Do I predict that's exactly what's going to happen? No. I like to predict the most three probable and 2 what ifs, right? Because crypto can be crazy. You need to know what those what ifs. You need to be prepared for them. Whether that what if is sideways for 3 months, which honestly is kind of what I'm thinking is going to happen anyway, but a lot of up and down, 20% swings up and down. There's one loud one over there. Jeez. It could go sideways. It could, scream down to 42K. It could fly up to, 110K without a red week, right? So those are kind of the what ifs. But anyway, so the three most probable. So I've had some VIP patrons say something like, you predicted. No, yeah, I predicted as an option. I didn't say it's going to hit it, right? I said it could, like it's among the most likely scenarios, and 42K probably was. So among my top three probable, I think sub 50K is out of the question, perhaps for the rest of eternity for Bitcoin. I think that is my top of top three. I do not think that Bitcoin will see more than maybe 4 hours, a 4-hour wick, maybe at most, below 50K. I don't think a single day will close under 50K forever, literally until I die. Assuming Bitcoin survives, which I think it will, because the next bear run, Tim. All right, we're going to have a bull and a bear run. Anyway, so the next bear market, I think Bitcoin won't go much past below 80K per my origin lines, right? So anyway, I honestly think it's perhaps most likely Bitcoin does not see below 50K forever until we die. Assuming genetic genetic science doesn't allow somebody like me to live about 500 years. That would be pretty cool. So I can learn a bunch of instruments and speak a bunch of languages. But anyway, here we go. So yeah, I think that's the most probable. I don't think we're going to go back below there even on a day, on a closing a day. Because this is the origin line. I don't think it will close below it anymore. It could wick past it, but when it does, I think this is what's happened first. What I suspect to happen is, and where I think most traders are going to play this wrong, most traders are thinking that Bitcoin will form a lower high, then come back down sub, like close to 40K. A lot of people are thinking that. I don't think it will. I think that is not even in the top 3 most probable scenarios. And I think we know why. The origin lines, it only transverses an origin line to correct to its 21 and close candles down there only if it did not have a correction recently before transversing upwards from these. So because that's the way it's always moved 100% of the time, I think it's not in the top 3 most likely. Now that this week did not go down first, I don't even think it's in my top 3 that 47K again is even in play. I think it's out of play. I would put that as a what if. I would say 47 and below is a what if, not even the top 3. So that is specifically what I'm predicting. So within that prediction, I have 3 most probables. I think that most probable is we at least get back up to 66, and I bet we could, 68, 70, something like that. So I think this week could close strong. The next week, close strong. The next week, wick up to maybe even 70K. Close on a small green candle, or even a red candle, honestly, but it could wick up here. And then Bitcoin makes its way back down. Wicks a little bit below on the weekly. And what will be creeping up right at that time? Crazy, the 21. And what will be converging with the 21 right at that time? The 10. What typically stimulates an extremely strong move up? The convergence of the 10 and the 21 and price bouncing off of them. Do you think there are any coins that have done that before that are legit coins? Well, let's look at Litecoin and Ethereum, see if they have ever done it. Like maybe as recent as last bull run, bouncing between 2 origin lines exactly like Bitcoin's doing. Let's find out. Let's find out if this ever happens. What do you think? What do you think? So as you can see here, Ethereum on these origin lines clearly got too hot too fast, just like Bitcoin did. Right? Too hot too fast. However, Bitcoin had a small correction here. So, because of that, it doesn't need to transverse an origin line in order to hit this. I think it will bounce between these, and then essentially have something like this happen. See the convergence of the 10 and the 21? See how it rides off? Sideways movement. And I think it'll bounce around. And honestly, it might actually form a higher low. I think that might be in my top 3, but I still don't think 47K is in my top 3. So I guess a higher low might be in the top 3. I still think it'll make a higher high, though. But anyway, I think in the end, the way Bitcoin will correct is by moving sideways, just like this, and then march on. And that could be, by the beginning or the second week of June, we could see the convergence of those moving averages, and then Bitcoin will start charging up. That's the time frame I see on it. I don't think it'll take a full 200 days, but we're already at 120 days since we passed that line, right? So has Litecoin done what I think Bitcoin might do? Get out of here. No way. So it converged on these lines. Even though this play was quite a bit different, it transversed like 3 origin lines, but also Litecoin got even hotter faster than Ethereum did. Look, it just went straight up. Look, straight to the moon. So this was a lot more wishy-washy, but still the same idea is in play. I think that Bitcoin will take form of a convergence of the 10 and the 21, moving sideways for a bit, and then skyrocket off of it. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, what happens between there, that's where my 3 most probables have to come in play. And anything outside of that, I think, is a what if, in my opinion. However, what ifs do happen. Remember BPRO? I said it's a what if that BPRO went down to its previous high of roughly a penny. The what if happened. We were prepared for that as possibly happening. Was it likely to happen at that time? No. Was I correct in saying it was a what if and not a most probable? Yes, I was. you can't predict a flash crash, right? Anyway, so the three most probable scenarios within that specific prediction of Bitcoin not going below 50K and Bitcoin moving sideways to have the 10 EMA and the 21 EMA converge before it launches off, maybe around first week of June, second week of June. So launches off means it could still be around 60K, and then fly off, right? And then it takes it could take 4 weeks to get, past this line, which would bring it about 80K. And then it'll really start moving. Then it'll go straight to 110, 105, something like that. Or higher. Anyway, so the three most probable situations within that specific prediction, I don't know. I think the most probable is it does make a higher high. I think it's going to make a higher high. I think it'll hit 67 or 68, maybe as high as 69, somewhere between 67, between 66 and 70. I think it'll come up, and that could be the week of May 10th. So the week of May 10th, I think it'll make a higher high, and then after that, what could happen within the most likelies is that Bitcoin then comes back down, like so, base is off of here, there we go. Maybe comes back down to touch it again. And then starts launching. Like that. Which means these need to be green, not yellow. So I might keep these in here. These are weekly candles. I think I put these exactly on the weeks. Yeah, I think the week of May 10th could be a pretty big green candle. I think something like that will play out. And so things could get hot. That's starting to get hot late June. It really could take that long. This might be a week too long, but this is what I think is most probable. I think this is how it'll behave with the convergence of the 10 and the 21, which these lines I drew here. So I'm going to actually leave this here for my analysis. Second most probable, a higher low. I think a higher low could easily happen because a lot of people, sometimes trading is a self-fulfilling prophecy, and a lot of people are betting on it, especially folks with a lot of money and taking on shorts and then using spot price to dump a lot of Bitcoin on the market to try to, push price along, which is why we get, on the short time frames, BART patterns, right? It's somebody doing a ton of market sales a little bit, and then they do that exactly when they know a lot of people are taking on shorts, and once they get it just high enough, they start hitting people's stops. Those stops, essentially, for a short is a buy, and then it cascades a bunch of buy signals, and that whoever, whichever hedge funds or even an exchange doing that, leverage exchange most likely, because those are the only ones with incentive. It's probably a mixture of both. But anyway, they don't have to keep buying because people's, it just cascades a bunch of stops, which essentially are buys. Anyway, I'm getting off track, but that's how kind of BART happens, by the way, in case you didn't know. So, yeah, I think a lower high could happen. Self-fulfilling prophecy is how I got there. So, if enough people are looking at it, well, what'll happen is, I bet Bitcoin could wick down here to 51 to 50 and still close above the 10. I bet it closes at or above the 10 if it does make a lower high. And then that would have the weekly 21 here. Then it might make a slightly higher high quickly, then come back down. So actually, if it does make a lower high, that might actually delay stuff and make it mid-June before it starts taking up. But that's the second most likely. First most likely, higher high. on this, in 3 weeks, week of May 10th. Third most likely, is Bitcoin, which could involve a lower high, but let's say, yeah, I think third most likely might also be something like a lower high. If it does make a lower high somewhere, I think it just might start riding this 10 without much price action up and down for several weeks. It could get boring. Instead of really ping-ponging, I think it could ride this line or even ride the origin line. So it could play, a green week above, a red week below, but closes at another green week, a red week, and let this catch up. Then it could dip down to about 51 to hit this and then start screaming. So I think that would be my third most likely at this point. It's just a bunch of sideways, non-volatile movement, and which also would involve a lower high. So I guess I have... So those latter two possibilities together actually might be more probable than a higher high. But out of any... So I guess I take back, in essence, mathematically what I said. However, among any one scenario that you could pick from, I think a higher high and then moving back down to the weekly 10 is the most probable among any one guess. So that's what I'll specifically say. However, there are two guesses that involve a lower high that put together would be a more probable to happen than a higher high. Does that make sense? Okay, so that's what I'm looking at for Bitcoin. Yeah, so if this happens, and I'll follow up with an Ethereum video, if this happens, that means Ethereum might actually not scream past its origin line, but go past it and then write it as support up here. Ethereum, like, its line here, to wait on Bitcoin to do this, and then it'll fly. So, and Ethereum has moved like that twice and recently. So that's what I got for you on Bitcoin. Those are the key levels I'm looking out for. And you just got Timified, and I will release an Ethereum video and an altcoin video here shortly. We'll see you soon.